Just head to ziprecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
Need your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either, because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself and Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Deminy from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 25, Saturday partly sunny with a high near 54, and Sunday sunny with a high around 68. The bakery at Cafe Latte features legendary cakes, cupcakes, and fresh-baked breads crafted with real ingredients. You won't find artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives at Cafe Latte, just pure quality. Whether it's a sweet treat or a gourmet meal, head to Victoria and Grand for Cafe Latte. More at cafelatte.com.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have our friend State Senator Mary Kunesh on, and thank you so much, State Senator, for coming on. I know you're busier than heck, and I really appreciate it. And I know our listeners and people viewing us on YouTube and Facebook Live and X and Blue Sky and all the TikToks and all that going on really appreciate it too.
Happy to be here. Matakayape, everybody.
Well, you're working hard. I know you got a few bills, 4 bills coming up. You want to talk a little bit about them and where they're at?
Sure. I'm here at the Capitol today. Usually on Fridays, I've got those 2 little boys during the day, but we are trying to fit in all the hearings because today is our first and second deadline, which means that any of the bills that are specifically policy bills have to be heard by the end of today. And so poor judiciary and state and local government, they are just bing, 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 back to back to back to back bills being heard. And I just came up from having 2 of my bills heard. The one is sort of interesting. It has to do with ebooks, electronic ebooks and audiobooks. There's kind of a monopoly from the vendors. There's really only one vendor that controls the market. And they set those prices, and they're really unsustainable for school libraries and for our public libraries. And they're limited to say, okay, you can buy the license for this book, maximum 26 license, and they only last for so long. And then oftentimes those are at the price of 4, 5, 6 times the price of buying an actual physical book. And then you have to renew it or rebuy it. And because there is really only one vendor, it's kind of a monopoly on that. And as I said, it's unsustainable for libraries, any kind of library, to do this. And so there is a movement across the different states to put limitations on what kind of a contract our libraries can enter with these vendors. And part of it is that there's a non-disclosure agreement that they make the libraries sign, so that you can't share what kind of a contract you've gotten with this vendor compared to others. And here in the Twin Cities, the Consortium of Libraries, it is the largest consortium of libraries purchasing these ebooks, as a consortium in the world, basically. Wow. And so they want to be able to negotiate. They want to be able to say, we need to be not paying this money. And let's remember, this is taxpayer dollars that are going out there. And so anyway, long story short, you got me going. We just had a hearing on that to kind of allow the libraries to set these limitations. And so we did get that one passed. It wasn't bipartisan support, but we do have bipartisan support on the bill, the authors of the bill, and then other authors or other legislators in the Senate, and quite a few over in the House. So this one is going to go to the floor of the Senate, and I hope we're successful and that other states will join us. And then the other one was just the PELSB bill. That's the professional licensing organization or office here, and they deal with teacher license, para licenses, and it was just to clean up some of the language and then to move some of the responsibilities into the right places. So that's where I was just a little bit ago. But over the week, we heard lots of different bills around fake emails and text imitating the Minnesota Department of Motor Vehicles. There's a big scam out there. People are if you're getting contact or texts requesting payment for outstanding traffic tickets or penalties from the Minnesota Department of Motor Vehicles, that agency doesn't even exist. And those penalties don't either. Please, if you're getting contacted, it is a scam, and we're working really hard here at the Capitol to address fraud and these kind of scams, especially stopping it before it even starts. Another big topic that we had this week was around gun violence protection.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bill that would ensure that if ICE or immigration officers want to get onto school lands, they have to have all the proper license and all the proper documentation in order to do that. And it was an interesting conversation because one of the legislators said, "Whoa, do you even know that this is happening?" And I'm like, dude, I represent Columbia Heights and Fridley, which were like the epicenter of harassment to our schools. Every day they were patrolling, they were circling our schools. And I tell the story about how, almost every morning starting in January, I'd get up and I'd go to a number of different schools or bus stops and watch what was going on, patrol what was going there, walking kids across the school, even middle schoolers. I was walking them across the street to make sure that they were safe. And there was one day in particular, as I was stood there, I saw a car go by, and it's the typical dark car, dark windows, but you could see in the passenger seat there was an open computer, no license plates, nothing to identify, this vehicle. And they went around once, and I kind of eyed them, went around twice, and I feel like maybe I made eye contact with the driver. And then the third time around, he rolled down the window and looked at me with this really kind of menacing, snarky look on his face and said, "Oh, good morning, Mary. Nice to see you here this morning." I didn't know this person. I don't know, necessarily how they knew who I was. I don't know if they knew I was a state senator, but if they had done some kind of face recognition or something like that, they probably very well did. And
That's
I mean,
freaky, spooky.
Yeah. I mean, remember what happened to the school at Roosevelt in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Where they were on the school grounds and they were trying to abduct a couple of the teachers there, and they were spraying, toxic things and really being physical with teachers and students. I mean, and I had to say, look, just because you weren't there doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Maybe that didn't happen in your community, or, it was like driving down Central Avenue and seeing empty cars that kind of are still running with the doors open and nobody's in there because they got boxed in, and ICE grabbed whoever was in that car and took them. And, we heard stories about how they drive them around and then just drop them off anywhere if they decided that they were legit. So this is the kind of stuff we've been dealing with.
Wow. Thanks, State Senator Mary Kunesh. And we're going to take a quick break and talk some more. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio. We are here with our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh, and geez, lot going on nationally. I'm going to follow your lead. What do you want to talk about now in this last segment?
Well, I mean, we've been talking a little bit about ICE, but I just want to give a shout out to the Choctaw Nation. I can't even tell you how many messages, messages and email and text that I have received about how incredible it was that the Choctaw Nation bought up that building down in Oklahoma that that ICE had their eye on to create a detention center. And they said it was 1.24 million square foot former Big Lot building. And they said that it would estimate to hold 8,500 individuals. I mean, that's a horrifying thought that we would incarcerate in one place, and you know this is happening all over the country, 8,500 people in one place. You know, we have federal representatives here in Minnesota that are doing their best to push back against ICE. And one of them is a former state legislator that I served with in the House and in the Senate, Kelly Morrison. And Kelly is now out in Washington, D.C. She herself is a doctor, OBGYN by profession, but doctor nonetheless. And she has been going to these detention centers like the one that we have here, and asking to go in there and see what the conditions are. She just visited one, and I remember hearing her on the radio about how horrible it was. There was like a big room with dozens of metal bunk beds, no privacy, no windows, no opportunity to get outside. And the food was detestable, and there was no medical attention for these people. And the fact that our federal government is planning to create more and more of these spaces is just inhumane and unacceptable in any way, shape, or form. And so I just want to hope that there are other opportunities for our tribal nations to recognize the harm that is being done, and the repetition of what happened. I mean, you think about it, back in when during colonialism and colonizing us, when they pushed us all onto reservations into one place with next to no reservations, that's basically what they're doing here. That's basically what they're gathering them all up, trail of tears, whether it's on an airplane, whether they're driving them in a car, a bus, vans. It's those immigrants' trail of tears. And it's so heartbreaking. And thank you to the Choctaw Nation for standing up for that.
Absolutely. And then also too, and this is more city government, but I understand that Minneapolis now is not going to have that. What do they call it? The cop, where they're trained police.
Hmm.
I can't remember what that's called, but that's just so disrespectful to the community.
Well, yeah, I mean, Minneapolis wanted to build a, multi-million dollar new building for police training, and perhaps, whatever they have is not the greatest right now. But at a time when we have so many homeless individuals, so many people that either lost their job or job was interrupted and their income was affected, at a time when the federal government is pulling back money for SNAP. That's the assistance to families and medical attention. I mean, we really need to focus on what's the biggest need in the here and now. And like I said, here at the Capitol, we are really focusing very closely on those most immediate needs. When I say we, I'm talking about my caucus, the Democrat, the DFL caucus.
Mhm.
We're getting a lot of pushback from our GOP members on efforts to provide these resources. Some are coming along, but many are not. And I just hope people look at who is representing them, and if they are representing them in the best way. If not, look for the right person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you used to be a state representative, and what they did, what was it yesterday, where the Republicans wanted to just to end the session right away because they're butthurt and little snowflakes, which they always call us liberals.
Yeah, one of the House members stood up and called for sine die. That's like what you do. That's like the last thing. And when we vote on that, our biennial session is over. No more work to be done. But we still have lots of work to do, and we are not ready to quit. We are not ready to stop advocating for Minnesotans, for our environment. And so we'll keep doing this work until, towards the end of May, and hopefully we'll get a lot of good work done.
Well, and then one of the things that are happening too, and like your job's never done, is that we're going to have the new No Kings rally, and I know they're all over in all communities all over the country, and the big
Mhm.
one's going to be at the Capitol, and I'm sure your constituents are having one.
Yep. Yes. Well, here at the Capitol, there's going to be a huge one, and the big stars are Bernie Sanders, Joan Baez, and Jane Fonda. Now, I would love to get here. I do have a pass to get up into that kind of VIP area, but I'll have my little granddaughters. I don't know that going through these crowds would be the best idea. And also, as you said, communities all over the country are holding their own No Kings rally, and I think I'd like to be with my community in this, and so I think I'll stick around a little bit. The girls and I are going to make posters tonight, and maybe I'll post some when we're done. But appreciate all the folks that are coming out to show that we are united in the fact that what's happening at the federal government is unacceptable. We are not looking for a monarchy, and we need to uphold our democracy.
Absolutely, and I'll probably have my sign that says Wendy made on the last one. It said, "Too many issues for one sign." So, I thought that was pretty
That's
funny.
a really good one, and that's so true. So true.
Well, yeah, you forgot to mention too, Bruce Springsteen's gonna be at the Capitol too, the boss.
Yes. Yes.
Gotta get a selfie with him.
Well, we'll see. I'll see how
Yeah.
much how long the girls are up to getting out there to rally. And
Yeah.
yeah, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we might have to make the ultimate effort.
Yeah, 100,000 people supposed to be, at the Capitol, but again, I'm amazed by the community that I live here in Mac Groveland, Highland Park. There's 3 to 5, 10,000 people that show up that. on these, and your community too that you represent, big numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be a lovely day. And, I always get so much energy from my community when I spend time with them. On Thursday night, we had a candidate forum because all of us are up for re-election here in Minnesota. All our House members, all our Senate members, our constitutional, our governor, our Secretary of State, auditor, Attorney General, all of us are up for re-election. And my Senate district held a candidate forum on Thursday. And, I'd had a long day here at the Capitol, talked to a lot of people. I would have just have loved to go home and have some peace and quiet. But I went to the forum, and I'm glad I did. The people that came out and the questions that they asked and their enthusiasm for working towards, a really, really good state and electing good people, and the safety and security and ability to vote was so evident. They just jazzed me up. It took me a long time to come down from that.
That's awesome, and good for you. And we need to do more of that. I was at a coffee break with a representative friend of yours, Maria, and just give her a big shout out. We got to keep our strong women in office like yourself.
Well, yes, strong people in general, but we're seeing more and more women stepping up to run for office and getting elected to it. Let's remember, in St. Paul, their entire council are women. Their mayor is a woman. Maria Isa Perez is running to be county commissioner of which there is a majority of women in
Ramsey County. Yep.
And women kind of get shit done.
Yeah, I better tell them that you swore on the. Yeah.
I just remember somebody once telling me, if you want something done, ask a busy woman, because they get it done.
You're absolutely right. Thank you so much, State Senator Mary Kunesh. Hope to see you this weekend, but I know wherever you go, people will be glad to see you. So Big Pinigigi, thank you so much, as always, for being on.
Sure. Wopi Latanka, everyone.
Native Roots Radio, Bob Blake from Red Lake. Up next, the Solar Bear with the Solar News. We'll be right back.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Age Jagwa Desnigowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies. Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including Indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Deminy from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 25, Saturday partly sunny with a high near 54, and Sunday sunny with a high around 68. The bakery at Cafe Latte features legendary cakes, cupcakes, and fresh-baked breads crafted with real ingredients. You won't find artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives at Cafe Latte, just pure quality. Whether it's a sweet treat or a gourmet meal, head to Victoria and Grand for Cafe Latte. More at cafelatte.com.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, we're back, and we're with our friend Robert Blake from Red Lake. We like to always say that it rhymes, but it's also Robert Blake with the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and it's good to see you, Bob. A lot going on, and I don't know where to start. Good to see you.
Yeah, Robert. I am at the American Indian Center on Franklin Avenue. We just had our employee retreat for Native Son Community Power Development, so it was great having all the Native Son employees in town for the last 3 days. But we were here, and Robert, I mean, this space and what Mary has done here, and the whole entire team has just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And we were able to have Vernon Defoe, the chef here, cook us meals the last 3 days. Vern, big shout out to you. You did an awesome job. Incidentally, y'all, I used to go to MCTC with Vern. We were in English class together. but seriously, I mean, just amazing what they've done here at the Indian Center, Robert. It's beautiful here.
Well, next time you're giving out free meals, let me know, because I'm only about 3 miles away. I can stop and get that Native Son package there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Robert, I was thinking we have an exciting event happening in our city tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I'm fired up.
I mean, this is going to be crazy. Everyone, it's going to be the No Kings rally. This is supposed to be the biggest one. I hear everyone talking about it. So I imagine this is going to be like packed, jam-packed tomorrow. But
they're expecting over 100,000 people.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm going to be, the Solar Bear is going to be there. And this is going to be so much fun. But yeah, this is going down tomorrow.
Well, last time Wendy made me a sign that she did a great sign of her own, but my sign said, "Too many issues for one sign." That's what my sign said. I'll bring that for you.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I like those dogs that are at the rallies that are they're wearing the sign "Dogs Against Trump."
Yeah. Well, and then we have those inflatable turtles that came directly from Seattle. Everybody's wearing those. But yeah, a big lineup. Our friend Bruce Springsteen, Jane Fonda, Joan Baez, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and on and on and on.
Oh wow, Robert, this is going to be amazing. I'm so happy for Minnesota. Um, Robert, I also think I believe I heard that Minnesota is also up for like some type of humanitarian award too.
Yeah, JFK humanitarian award. Yeah, and I think you and I should go to Washington and accept that for the Twin Cities.
Yes. I think we should. The Solar Bear with the Solar News and Robert Pilot, I'm awake, should
We'll
be there.
hand out resist shirts.
Well, I don't resist shirts.
Yeah, like the old days.
Hey, like the old days. But yeah, Robert, I'm telling you, this is going to be an exciting day tomorrow for our state, for this country. I mean, I don't want to make this sound too
Right, yeah.
emotional, but I'm going to say democracy, and really the heart and soul of this country right now. So I think this is going to be really important, and I'm just so proud and happy, Robert, that we as Minnesotans can come together and unite and really show the world that democracy and freedom still matters.
I just think of what is the psychology of the people that are against this? I mean, especially people living here in Minnesota. What are they thinking when 100,000 people show up? And, nobody shows up for the orange one now at his rallies, small groups. And I mean, the psychology of that, I just can't imagine. Do they have to stay dug in because they don't want to act like a fool, or they want to be a fool? It just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, great question. I mean, I really do firmly believe, Robert, that this is just a time of transition. It's a time of change. I think it's a reality check for a lot of folks that, an old world is leaving, a new world is being born.
Mm.
And it's just hard for some people to accept the fact that, there is all this change that is happening in the world, in the country. And, there's this resistance to it, Robert. But it's like anything. This is going to happen. And, I don't think there's nothing going to stop it, Robert.
I just want to really make sure that the people that I'm voting for will prosecute these people, because you remember when Nixon didn't go to jail, but his attorney general went to jail, and all the people that were part of that. And I really hope that, the Democrats don't go into the healing mode and we all got to be together. It's like, no, we have to make sure that this never happens again.
I agree. There has to be some prosecutions this time. There has to be some follow through. I think the whole point of just threatening, we all saw how that worked, right? So, I totally agree with that. But once again, I'm just going to come back to the point of, that no matter what these folks do or they attempt to stop or create in absence of all of this, all of this transition happening, like this is going to go down, Robert. I mean, irregardless of how these folks, and let's just be honest, everyone, they're dying off, literally. I mean, this, and so this is just the cycle of nature too. And that's what I firmly believe.
Right. And I agree with 100%. And what you have going on here now is people, what I heard, Bob, was this: if you've won by more than or less than 15% being a Republican, if you've won with less than 15%, you're in big trouble because of the way things are flipping. And even, where Trump lives, they won by 12 points or maybe even more than that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but now this election yesterday flipped it from Republican to Democrat in Florida.
Yeah. And I think what you're seeing too, Robert, is that, you have a select few individuals that are holding on to, that separatism or that isolation idealism, right? And they're realizing that that's not what Americans feel or believe. We actually love our neighbors. We actually love each other. We actually care about one another. I think all in all, we appreciate the diversity that's in our country. We love the different holidays. We love being able to celebrate other people's cultures, and we're I think it's showing, in the polls right now with all of these Democrats that are pulling these seats away from these Republicans because and the sad thing is that these individuals are listening to this madman, right? And they are literally going down the rabbit hole. They're literally going down the ditch with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it can't happen fast enough for us because there's going to be so many of these things that they're going to try to do, whether it's intimidation with ICE agents at the polls or just are trying to pass this stupid vote act that they better not pass because it's going to disenfranchise not only women that and men that have been married and changed their name. It's just insane that anyone would even vote for this.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna. I really feel like I think people's better judgments is gonna get the best of them. I'm remaining hopeful, Robert, and I'm remaining hopeful for the next generation because that's what our people do. We think about the next 7 generations. We think about those that are behind us, and we know that our people have faced
Right.
unconscionable situations that obviously the reason why we're still here is because they were able to navigate that. So
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those things, Robert, and I feel like you're one of those voices that are helping our people get through this time and finding hope in this kind of dark kind of space. And that's why independent media like yourself, Robert, and what you do for the community and what you do for all of us is so important. And we're going to get through this. But it is definitely going to be rocky, Robert. I totally agree with you on that.
Well, I appreciate the shout out, and it's amazing too because the show is based on people like yourself that bring in your own truth. I feel like I'm just a mediator of great people like yourself. So I appreciate the shout out, and we're doing amazing work by talking about this. Where mainstream media has really, really disappointed us.
Yeah. Boy, Robert, boy, did you hit it on the nail right there with Main Street Media and it being gobbled up by these billionaires. And then, obviously weaponizing our media now for, oh boy, God forbid a authoritarian government here in the United States. And, it's just really sad where this has come. I mean, you see the big show 60 Minutes and all these other ones that are caving. I just watched Stephen Colbert last night. He's like he's going off the air in May.
Wow.
I just can't believe that they're getting rid of the Tonight Show or the Late Show,
Yeah.
And so it's just those aspects, Robert, why independent media like yourself is so important. I understand, Robert. You might be or you're going to be at the event tomorrow covering it.
Yes.
Possibly,
Hey,
in those
don't
areas.
start rumors. Don't start
Yeah.
rumors.
In those areas where the media is allowed. So that would be great, Robert, for you to be there to get those firsthand comments from these folks. And yeah, it's so important, Robert, what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we're going to take a quick break here and maybe follow up on that and maybe talk a little sports with the Solar Bear too. But I still got a couple more things to talk to you about in the next segment. But hey, we're here with Bob Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports, and also the man with the native sun. Oh, wow. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Age Jagwa Destiny Gowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, I'm Tiergan.
And I'm Hadley.
We're two of the very first listeners, and we're
Still listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're finishing up here with our friend Robert Blake from Red Lake, and really excited to be doing this. And we were just talking a little bit about mainstream media and how much it's normalized this crazy stuff, and really won't fight back on the insanity that's happening. I just wanted to say this too. You talked a little bit about Colbert leaving, and he will be, I'm sure, picked up somewhere else, and hopefully the 100+ people that work for him will be picked up too, because that's a thing. It's amazing, and I don't know if this has always been this way, but it's definitely happening now, with 60 Minutes not being a source of news anymore, and CBS is bought off, is that we get our news, Bob, from comedians.
I know that is not the way it should be. And back when Ronald Reagan was president, there was a thing called the Truth Doctrine. And back then it was basically said, that the media had to tell the truth, right? If you're going to report it, you have to tell the truth, right? There's a law on that. Well, that was also the same time that a guy named Rupert Murdoch created this company called Fox Television, Fox News. And because of the fact that, the truth doctrine was disbanded, gave this rise to this I think, do you guys remember Jerry,
Yeah.
all these talk shows, and all that. Your father is,
Well, Bob, do you remember that's how Oprah started too? And
Yep.
then she, after years of success, she switched it up, but that's how she started too.
Yep, exactly, Robert. And that was really where a lot of these groups and whatnot came out of, because of this law that said that media had to, tell the truth. And so if you're not able, and so in short, with that happening like that, Fox became this juggernaut of, telling half truths on the news. And then now all of a sudden, basically being the voice behind, let's be honest, the mega movement now.
Yeah. And also, with Fox, they were sued big time by these voting machine companies, and they're just when they're in court, they'll say we're Fox Entertainment, we're not Fox News, and but people don't know that they're glued to their TV, and I mean, I'm just so sick of seeing Fox and Mega talking points on the social media out there because people aren't thinking and looking into it themselves. They're just echoing what they hear.
Yeah, in the provocateur, right? The person who has been his entire existence been about telling a story or being a salesman, or the grifter, right? Goes out and hires all these individuals from this program to work in our government, to run
unbelievable.
to run our country. Okay, the defense secretary was a Fox show person.
Yeah.
Show entertainment, you all. Fox
Right.
Entertainment. This is our defense secretary, and now we're in a conflict in the Middle East that is basically going to cripple the entire world's economy because of Fox Entertainment. Let's just see how that's where we're at right now, Robert.
Well, Bob, what's interesting too is that our gas prices are going up and everything's going up, but China and I think India learned from this because it's not going to affect them as much as because of what they've done solar-wise in renewable energy.
Yeah, this is true. They've invested heavily into renewables. They invested heavily into electric vehicles, and they've been setting up for this transition for the ending of fossil fuels. Peak oil, right?
Mhm.
Peak oil is where we're at, and the sad thing is that a lot of these other countries, their lifeline, their blood, literally is oil. Like their economies run on oil. So
Well,
when
Russia does too, and look what we
Uh-huh.
did. We gave them a pass now. We gave Iran a pass who were bombing and lifted the tariffs, and now Russia's making all this money now
Yes.
and reporting where our soldiers are to the enemy.
And this is what happens when you have Fox Entertainment run the government, right? I mean, this is what we have when we have individuals that don't have the understanding or the capacity to understand geopolitical issues, and because they're just up there on front of a television, saying half truths, and most of the time they're lying.
Or not reporting anything, when there's things that are happening that aren't well and don't look good on the administration, they don't even report it.
Yeah, no, and that's why it's really important that this election season we show up at the booths, we vote these individuals out, and if you look at the special elections that are happening across the country, that's what this entire country is doing. So I think this is more. This is going to be a referendum on obviously Trump's policies and his administration's policies, but also the fact that we need competent people running this government.
Well, it's interesting too in Florida with that election, more Republicans voted than Democrats. But that's telling you that even registered Republicans are voting Democrat because of this insanity.
Yeah, because I also firmly believe that, not all Republicans, are racist. I mean, let's just say
Right.
it. Let's just
Right.
call it what it is. They really don't really care about all that. What they care about are issues. And I believe that they're showing up at this and they're seeing the grift happen. They're seeing this administration rob the American taxpayer. And that's exactly what this administration is doing with everything, with all of their, schemes and scams and everything that they're happening right now. I think the Republicans are showing up and they're saying, no, that's not cool.
Well, hey, Robert, let's switch it up. We got like a minute left. My Twins lost the opener, but it was a good pitch game by Joe Ryan. They left all these people on base and never scored a run. And I don't know if that's going to be a theme, but I'm going to hopefully be in your suite on opening day.
And I'm gonna tell you what, Robert, we have 161 games to go. They say baseball is a metaphor for life. You have ups and downs the entire season. We don't know how this is going to go, but I hope that the Twins pick it up, and I hope that they spend some more money in the bullpen. And like I say, I hope Buxton and the rest of the team, just have a healthy season. They stay healthy, because if they could do that, then we can win some games and make a run at the pennant.
Yeah, especially with the wild card and all that. I think above 500, you're going to be pretty close to being in the playoffs. And we know after 87, anything can happen. Yeah, well, the old adage is hitting will win you games and pitching will win you World Series. So we need to really up our pitching staff somehow.
Yeah, and I believe that, like, after the All-Star break, there's going to be some opportunities and some folks that are going to be saying, some teams that are going to say, hey, I think we're going to look to the next season. So, hopefully the Twins will be in the race, that they'll be able to pick up some talent there.
Well, the Timberwolves are coming around. Well, first I want to say this, a big shout out, and it's happening tonight to the women's University of Minnesota basketball team is in the Sweet 16.
Wow, isn't that incredible, Robert? Yes, the University of Minnesota Gophers women basketball team is in the Sweet 16. Everybody, let's go out there. Let's watch them tonight. Let's root for Amaya Battle and the team, man. I'm so excited for these ladies, and I hope that they continue on into the Final Four.
And quickly, looks like the Timberwolves are the Wolves are kind of fighting back there without Ant-Man. They're doing pretty good without him.
Man, I want to say Bones Highland and Abu, the new guy from Chicago, so exciting to watch.
And then there's hockey, but we don't have time to talk about it. This is Native Roots Radio. Thanks to Bob Blake from Red Lake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports.
Miigwech.
This is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than